thank you for joining us. I'm Lynn McCarriger. I'm the Assistant Director General from the Outaouais branch, and we've decided to do a collaboration on this video conference. MEDOC is a topic that is well liked and interesting, and many people have many questions. That's what we've noticed thus far. So this morning's session went really well, and we welcome you to this afternoon session in English. And so we have participants from Montreal, Ottawa, Eastern Townships, Haute-Yamaska, Mauricie, and Quebec. So thank you all. We're recording the session, as I mentioned, so you're going to have the link to view it afterwards at your own pace. And we're very sorry again for the last minute link change. Thank you all for your questions that were sent via the registration form, for some of you anyway. And we forward them to the presenter, Lynn Nasralla, who's here with us today. And she's addressing those questions specifically in her presentation as much as possible. We'll also have a question period at the end, and we will see if we go maybe a bit further, more than an hour. We're going to try to answer as many as possible. But please, we would ask you to stick to general questions. If they're specific to you and your situation, we would like for you to call MEDOC, and we're going to share the number. That's the best way to do it. And I'm looking. Okay, so Q&A for the questions, and we will answer them. We'll raise them with Lynn at the end. And so now I'm going to introduce Lynn Nasralla, our speaker of today. So she's been a member of the Johnson team for over 28 years. Her wealth of knowledge comes from her work experience, including frontline operations, branch supervisor operations, and in 2010, she joined the national consulting team to service some of the Johnson's largest national accounts. So welcome, Lynn, and thank you for being there.
Wonderful. Thank you
Wishing
so much.
you all a great video conference.
Thank you all. Can you all hear me all right?
Yes.
Yes, fantastic. First of all, I want to thank the Outaouais branch and for organizing this session today. It's always great when we're able to get out and talk to our members, and especially around the importance of what's happening lately, the fact that we're going to be rebranding our travel insurance. So thank you so much for joining us today, and we'll go through some particulars about the plan. So I myself have been with the association for 28 years, but I've been specifically actually working on this account for the last 15 years. So I'm quite knowledgeable in this space of the travel insurance product that we have for you. So today we'll go through those, and we'll be answering those questions towards the end if we miss anything wasn't covered off in the presentation. So I'm going to start to share my screen. And I don't think I'm sharing the right screen. 1 minute. Sorry, just 1 sec.
You were sharing your presentation, but I believe it was more in a slide mode than, yeah. So you just need to do slideshow.
There we go. Okay.
Perfect.
All right. So fantastic. So one of the things that we're going to be doing very recently is as of July 1, actually, we'll be rebranding. So for those of you who have our existing travel insurance, you would have known that it's been called Johnson Travel Insurance and has been since the inception of the plan. We will be rebranding that to Bel Air Travel Insurance going forward. But please be rest assured that your coverages are going to stay the same. It's the same exclusive rates that you get, same dedicated service. We're literally just a name change. So the phone numbers that you have to call us are all the same. The staff behind the scenes are all still the same. So it's literally just a brand change and a little bit of a color change, but the plan design and everything is still remaining the same. So the relationship that we have with the National Association of Federal Retirees actually dates back to 1992. And this is when National Office actually came and approached us and said, we've got a wonderful travel offering that is available through the Public Service Healthcare Plan, but there's some gaps in it. What can we do to sort of fill in those gaps? So we have literally designed the travel insurance plan for you to wrap around what you have with your Public Service Healthcare Plan. So, this plan that we're talking today is specifically for National Association of Federal Retirees who have the Public Service Healthcare Plan. If you don't have the Public Service Healthcare Plan, there is a completely different offering that we have. So, for those of you who have the Public Service Healthcare Plan and are members of the association, we would refer to this as our Cadillac of all travel insurance policies. And rest assured, under the Bel Air brand, it will still be that Cadillac policy as well. Currently, we have over 70,000 policyholders insured in our travel insurance program. We also introduced our home insurance program in 1996, and that's very successful as well. So, as of July 1, our story will continue under the Bel Air brand. So, we will have at that point both our home and auto and as well our travel insurance all under one brand going forward. As I mentioned, being a federal retiree or even an active employee, have access to the Public Service Healthcare Plan. Tremendous plan that you have, which allows you to travel for up to 40 days outside of your province, and you gets up to $1 million of coverage, which is fantastic. Now, one thing I do want to note is that that 1 million is Canadian. So typically when you are traveling, the claims are paid out in US funds. So it really depends on what the dollar conversion is at that point as to what coverage you're going to have in total. So for example, right now you've got 1 million Canadian, that might end up being 700,000 at claim time because it's paid in US funds. And this is sort of why we have wrapped around our coverages around that. We have claims that have exceeded that $1 million Canadian. So that's why we highly recommend everybody travel with more than $1 million Canadian when they're traveling, and hence why the federal superannuates have asked us to offer this plan then for them. So our plan that we have will actually lift your 10 million or $1 million coverage that you have to $10 million coverage. So again, that 1 million Canadian will go to 10 million. In addition to that, you're also going to get things that are not covered by your public service healthcare plan. We offer trip cancellation. So, trip cancellation is per trip per person. So, if you take multiple trips throughout the year, every single trip you have will actually have 15,000 per trip per person. So, I don't know if you've ever tried to check this out with your local travel agent, but trip cancellation is normally very expensive. So, it's nice that our plan is automatically embedded in the policy. It's also going to cover you for other things, again, like your public service healthcare does not cover. It's going to cover you for vehicle return. It's going to cover you for lost baggage up to $1,500 to a $3,000 maximum per family. This is a new benefit that we've added recently, the Airport Lounge Pass. And this is up to $100 per person per trip if your trip is delayed for more than 3 hours beyond the original scheduled time. So, this is a very nice feature that we've recently added on our last renewal to make sure that we're keeping up with what is happening in trends and things. We've also got pet return. So if you're traveling with Fluffy, feel free. Don't worry. We'll be able to return your cat or your dog should something happen in the event of a claim. So I'll just give you some of an example here. We've got some members that'll be like, well, I don't think I need trip cancellation insurance. I drive and I don't think that'll be an issue. So even if you're driving across the border, what can happen is that if you do have a medical emergency and you are required to be medically flown back to Canada to receive your treatment, this is where your travel insurance will come in. We'll be able to bring that vehicle back for you. We'll be able to make sure your luggage gets back for you. And we'll also make sure that your pet does get back as well. So this is sort of where that travel insurance that we have wraps around that existing coverage to make sure we're filling in those gaps for you. And as I mentioned, one of the best products that we do have, we find, is that trip cancellation because it is quite expensive to get that through a travel agent or as a standalone policy. One thing that's a benefit of our trip cancellation coverage is that it's coverage for you, your dependents, but also if something were to happen to your traveling companion. So let's say you plan a trip and there's yourself and your spouse, and you're going to be going with another couple, and this was your dream vacation, but this other couple doesn't have the public service healthcare plan, so they're insured with XYZ insurance company. but they become medically ill and are not able to go. So you and your spouse, you know what, the intent was to go with the other couple. You don't want to go on the trip alone anymore because they're not going. Our policy actually allows you to cancel your trip because your traveling companion is not going. So there's other benefits, and this is one of them that you'll see that our policy really has a lot more allowances than other travel insurance policies on the market. Some of the additional benefits as well that will be covered will be transportation of a family member to a bedside and additional expenses for meals and accommodations up to 350 per day to $3,500 total. It was interesting. I was at an event recently and I had a member come up to me and say, "I would just want to thank you." What happened was that her friend actually was traveling with another couple, and they were all going to be heading out on a cruise, and they were just waiting for the cruise. Unfortunately, the member got sick. She didn't think she was that sick, but she had said, "You know what? Go ahead, continue on the cruise. I'll stay here." Unfortunately, her medical condition did deteriorate, and she was so thankful that we were able to actually fly her daughter out to her, have her daughter by her bedside. We paid for that flight, we paid for her meals, we paid for her accommodations, so that way there, that member was able to have someone there in that time of need. So these are sort of the coverages that we have here under this travel insurance plan for you. Another coverage we have is repatriation. This has recently been increased up to 15,000. We did have it at 5,000 before, but based on prior claims experience that we're seeing, we needed to increase that to a level that was actually going to be covering more of the claims that we've been seeing coming in. Just want to mention to you one thing as well. Every year we do take a review of the travel insurance plan, and we searched all the other markets to sort of see what coverages are out there, what benefits are out there, what premiums are out there, because we want to make sure that the policy we have for you, number one, is top of mind. It's going to be covering things that are currently happening in the market. And this is where we increase those coverages. For example, that airport lounge I was talking about earlier, or the repatriation here. So, this to make sure that we've got adequate coverage for you and we're still in a very competitive place as well at the same time. We also have other benefits too. We've got the incidental hospital expenses for up to $50 per day. So this would be like your TV or those types of things that might be in the room while you're being hospitalized. We've got coverage for drugs and medication. Emergency dental care up to 5,000. So if you're in an accident or something and there was an impact to your face and created a dental emergency, you've got up to $5,000. For emergency relief of dental pain, perhaps a canal or something, a root canal or a cavity, we have a maximum of $600. So some of the travel options that we have for you, very similar, actually identical to the travel options that we had prior. So we have our 40-day base plan, and the 40-day base plan is the exact same coverage that you're going to have under your public service healthcare plan. So when we're talking about this, we're going to it literally mimics your policy with the public service healthcare plan. So unlimited trips up to 40 days in duration. It's going to increase your public service healthcare plan from that 1 million to 10 million. It's going to cover that trip cancellation delay that we were talking about. And one of the really nice things that's with the 40-day base plan is that you don't need to tell us when you're coming and when you're going. That's the convenience of the 40-day base plan. It's literally a policy you have and you come and go as you please for as many trips as you like. The only thing that we do ask is that if you're going to be traveling by vehicle, is that you purchase something in your province before you leave. This way, here at time of a claim, we're able to determine what time you had left the country. So that way, there you will be able to establish that you're within that 40-day plan. For those of you who are traveling by air, you've always got your airplane ticket. So that will be your proof of departure at that point. Another thing that's very nice about having just the base plan is that you don't have to fill in a medical questionnaire. There is no questionnaire to be filled in at all when you are traveling 40 days or less. So there's no need to report your trip dates, no questionnaire to fill in. So you don't need to worry about, did I answer this question right? How did this happen? No concern at all because it's not required. On the supplemental plan, so these are for people who are going to be traveling more than 40 days. So people traveling more than 40 days, depending on which province you're in, will be able to leave for up to 182 days if you're in Quebec. And in Ontario, you're able to leave the province for up to 212 days. One thing, if you purchase a supplemental trip, so again, that supplemental trip is when you're buying a plan more than 40 days. So you're taking a trip more than 40 days. Say, for example, you're taking a 60-day trip. When you take that 60-day trip and you come home, you automatically have the 40-day base plan as well. So that means you can turn around and take another 40-day trip for the rest of your policy year as well. So you get that one 60-day trip plus as well all the 40-day trips after that too. One thing we do ask for supplemental is that you'll see that there is a health questionnaire. So remember, on the base plan, there is no health questionnaire and you don't need to tell us your dates. On the supplemental plan, you do. We ask you for your trip dates and we also ask you to fill in a health questionnaire. When you fill in that health questionnaire, it's going to determine as to which category you fall into based on how you respond to the questions. So if you fall into our category, which is optimum, currently we are renaming that category A. We also have our preferred category, which we're going to call category B going forward. And then we have standard, which is category C. So one thing about our policy, the only difference between the optimum, preferred, and standard, number one is the rate. And the other thing is that the only time we have a stability clause is only if you fall into the standard or category C coverage, okay? So if you're taking a base plan, you don't need to worry about a stability clause, so 40 days or less. If you're traveling more than 40 days, then if you only land in standard, so that means you filled in the medical questionnaire and at the end you've got some health issues, which determines that you were land in that standard category, that is when you will have to be subject to a stability clause. And I'm going to review the stability clause with you here in just a moment as well. So as I mentioned, the base plan not subject to that stability clause. The stability is only subject to those who will land in the standard health category. Okay, and our stability clause is 90 days. So 90-day stability clause. For those of you who are familiar with stability clauses, you will see on the market they have typically a 90-day stability clause for most insurance companies right from day one. And as well, if it's not 90, it's 180. Some plans even have 365 days. So if you're not insuring under this travel plan that has been designed for you, please make sure that you review what that stability clause is and the duration that you need to be stable prior to leaving. So what does stability mean? So what stability means no new treatment, no new prescriptions, no change in treatment or prescribed medication, no new symptoms, change in frequency of symptoms, hospitalizations, or referral to a specialist 90 days prior to travel. So I'm going to give you an example. If you have high blood pressure, and everything is going well, you've been eating a balanced diet, everything looks wonderful, and you see your doctor before your trip, and again, you're going on a trip longer than 40 days and you're in our standard health category, what will happen if he were to lower your blood pressure medication? We might think this is absolutely wonderful. I'm getting a lower medication, so it would not apply to the stability clauses. I'm getting better. But in reality, it still does, because any change in a medication, depending on what will happen, whether or not you're not going to follow that same diet or whatnot, it's still considered a change. So an up or a down in your prescription will still constitute a change when it comes to your stability clause. So always make sure that you read that carefully. For those of you who have specific questions on perhaps a stability clause for yourself, always feel free to call our staff. They would be more than happy to answer any questions for you as well. Another thing that makes our travel insurance quite unique is that we allow you to pay on the monthly payments. So you don't have to pay for this up front. We do it through a pre-authorized bank deduction. And you can either choose to pay monthly or you can choose to pay in one lump sum. And the reason why we have it set up this way is that when we do our renewal every year, we automatically renew everyone. And the reason for that is that we don't know when people are traveling. So the reason for the automatic renewal is to ensure that if somebody's traveling during that time, when their renewal came due, they're still going to have coverage. Our policy renews September 1st. And you would have actually received some documents probably recently. So I'll talk a little bit about the issuing of our policy with what's going to be happening with Canada Post on the next slide. But for those of you, we do that automatic renewal. It's going to be so it never lapses. Those of you who are traveling on that supplemental plan. So one thing, when you do get the renewal package, you'll probably always see that we have that health questionnaire in there for you. So those of you who are on the base plan, you do not need to actually return the health questionnaire if you're on the base plan. For those of you on that supplemental plan, you are required to fill in that health questionnaire because we need to requalify you for what health category you fall into. As your health changes from year to year, it could actually get better. It could get worse. So you might go from one category to the next throughout different years. So this is why we ask you to send in a new questionnaire every year if you're traveling more than 40 days. If you don't return the health questionnaire and you're traveling more than 40 days, you will automatically be defaulted to our standard health category until we get the health questionnaire returned with perhaps a different health category. Another thing that makes our travel insurance unique is the fact that we've got that coordination with your public service healthcare plan. So we know what the coverages are over there. We've got the other coverages to sort of wrap around you to make sure you're going to be protected while you're traveling. We also accept you at any age. There is no age restriction and there is no health restriction either to purchase this policy, which is fantastic. I don't know if you've ever checked on travel insurance, but many insurance companies have age restrictions. They also have health restrictions. As well, other travel insurance companies, if your health changes from when you signed up, you need to notify them. And if something were to happen, where your health has changed, they could cancel your policy. So it's very different other insurance companies to compare to how this plan operates for you. Literally no age restriction and no health restrictions either. So it's a tremendous plan that we have for you. And as well, for any of you that have our home insurance with Ruth Bel Air, you get another 5% discount when you have your travel insurance with us as well. A new feature that we've had, maybe not a new feature, but more of an explained feature that we wanted to talk about is that not everyone is necessarily traveling out of province or out of Canada these days. So just wanted to let you know that our MEDOC travel or MEDOC or our travel insurance, I should say, going forward, whether it be you're in Canada or you're going abroad, you've got coverage. So even in Canada, as you're going from one province to another, sometimes there's going to be restrictions in what is available. And again, that's where your travel insurance from Bel Air is available there for you. So let's say, for example, you're traveling from Ontario and you're going to British Columbia, but there's a car accident that happens actually in Banff. This is where your travel insurance will be able to come in play. So, for example, if at that point there, you're taken to the hospital, perhaps you're airlifted, right? This is another thing that would be covered as well by our plan. And you're airlifted to the hospital. If your traveling companion needs to be set up in a hotel, this is where we have all those other accommodations to make sure that everyone is being looked after while that's happening. We have our travel assistance provider. So we have different travel assistance provider depending on who you're dealing with. So for those of you who have the public service healthcare plan, obviously the majority of everybody in this room would, you would actually be the first payer for the public service healthcare plan is actually Canada Life. So Canada Life is that first payer. Actually, no, let me step back. Actually, sorry, your province is your first payer. So obviously you get a little bit of coverage by your province. And then we do have obviously Canada Life. That would be that second payer after the province. And then we would follow suit after that. So there's basically a little triage 1, 2, and 3 that it would work in. And how that would work is that Canada Life would organize that with the provincial healthcare plan to get reimbursement. So you don't need to worry about that. If it was after, perhaps coming into us as well, perhaps we've got over $1 million claim or other things, there would also be coverage from us. Our travel insurance provider is Global Excel Management. So they would be dealing with what Bel Air travel insurance claims come in. Your public service healthcare plan, their travel insurance provider is MSH. That is who Canada Life has as their travel insurance provider. So you actually have two different insurance providers, essentially one under your benefits plan as a federal government employee, and then as one under the MEDOC travel insurance plan or the Bel Air travel insurance going forward. With Global Excel Management, so this is our claims adjudicators. They are open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and they are able to relay messages back and forth to perhaps your loved ones that might be at home or things like that to keep them apprised of what's happening with any medical emergencies that are happening to you as well. Global Excel Management, one of the things that we do ask at claim time, if you're able to call, that's great, fantastic. We will refer you to perhaps the nearest medical facility. We can also arrange to have bills paid in advance directly to the provider. So this way you don't have to pay out of pocket. I would say that we would probably pay 90% of our claims direct is to the provider. The only time that we can't is if the provider does not have access to direct billing, or if you're in Cuba. Anybody traveling for Cuba, they do make you pay in advance, and then you'd need to resubmit for reimbursement. As I mentioned, they can relay messages back to your family members from the physician, and they can also provide you with language services. So let's say you're traveling in a country and they're speaking Spanish, and you're not understanding what the physician is saying that is going to be happening. Global Excel will actually be able to help with that translation to ensure you're comfortable with the medical facilities and the medical services that you will be receiving. So our travel card is going to be the same travel card that you would have used prior. The only thing we've done is that we've changed the name to Bel Air, and we've changed the colors from purple to red. But other than that, the phone numbers are the same. So these are the phone numbers that you would use in the event of an emergency. One thing I do recommend is that if you aren't able to get through on the Canada or US line or the toll-free one for Mexico, you can also call Collect. So please feel free to call Collect. I've had to use this once myself, actually, and I called Collect and I was able to get through. So please try that as well. If you're having any issues, just call Collect. Some advice for travelers. Definitely want to make sure that you familiarize yourself with your policies before you're traveling. Understand whether it be our policy or another policy, what the coverages are and what your limitations are. If you have any questions on your policy, certainly feel free to ask our agents. They'll be more than happy to assist you, because it's always important that you feel comfortable with the coverages that you're purchasing, because this is your health that we're talking about, and claims abroad can cost quite a bit. So we want to ensure that we've got some coverage available for you. So always feel free to contact our agents directly if you have any questions. For membership, membership must be held if you want to have a travel insurance policy with us. So, as a National Association of Federal Retirees member, you are eligible to have this plan because this has been made available to you. But you must maintain your membership in order to do so. So please make sure you're renewing your membership yearly. And for those of you who are traveling with a spouse, we'll need to have a double membership for those of you who are traveling for two. One thing about this membership is that it is available to people who are active as well. So if you have any friends or family, they can certainly take advantage of this plan, whether or not they're retired or not. Anybody that does have a double plan, so in other words, a spouse, two people on the policy, we will actually then add dependents in. So for anybody who has two people on a policy, we consider that a family plan. And at that point, any dependents are going to be covered under your plan as long as they're covered under your public service healthcare plan. So your public service healthcare plan typically allows dependents up to the age of 25 if they are attending school full time. And if they are not, I believe it's to 21. So if they are in school full time attending secondary, post secondary education, they are able to have that up to 25. How do you apply for travel insurance? Well, if you're looking to apply after July 1st, we've got a brand new website for you at belairdirect.com/federal retirees. Or you can certainly give us a call. We'd be more than happy to set you up over the phone. Or as well, we can send you an application form and we can put it through Canada Post. Now, that's probably a good time for me to talk about Canada Post. So I'm just going to talk a little bit about the renewal and what's sort of happening right now with the renewal for those of you who are already insured under the travel plan. We would have sent out email renewals to you for those of you who have opted in to have your renewal sent by email, and communication being email is your preferred preference. So for those of you who would have asked that, we would have sent your email renewal out to you already. And you would have had 30 days to action that email. And if you actioned it, we will be sending you your policy documents via email very shortly. For those of you who have the email address on file, but perhaps have not actioned that email within 30 days, it will automatically go into our paper mailing, which will be deployed as soon as Canada Post is available. Please be rest assured that your coverage is automatically continuing. So we are automatically renewing the policies. Whether you receive them or not, it is automatic renewal. So please don't worry about cancellations or lapse of your coverage. If for some reason you need to cancel your policy and you haven't received your policy from Canada Post, certainly just feel free to call our staff. They would be more than happy to assist you on that. And for those of you who are perhaps on a paper copy and decide, maybe with what's happening with Canada Post, perhaps I want to start getting email policies, feel free to call our agents. They'll be able to put you on the email list and be able to send you out the email of the renewal then shortly after. So those are a couple options that we can do there for the renewal. Okay, and now we are at our question period here. Now, I know there's a lot of questions, and we did
Yes.
get some that were posed in the beginning as well. So I'm going to let Lynn actually.
Yes, actually, we may have answered some of those with your presentation, but I
Okay.
don't think that participants can delete their question. So I'm going to go through them, and feel free, Lynn, right away to say, this has been answered, because we've got 83 questions. So I don't know. I don't think we're going to be able to do them all, but let's go. Let's
All
start the
right.
sprint. And for those who will not have answers today, again, just feel free to call MEDOC and directly, and we can repeat the number in the chat. So for people to know where to call. Okay, that's the best method. So we're going to start with, it seems that many people think that MEDOC covers medical costs. My understanding is that it covers non-medical costs such as transportation and perhaps trip cancellation. Can you clarify what is covered by MEDOC?
Certainly. So it does cover those things, the non-medical, absolutely, but it also is going to cover medical costs as well. First of all, as I had mentioned, the 1 million you have with your public service healthcare plan is Canadian. So when you're talking about that being converted into US funds, as I mentioned, the majority of claims coming in are all paid in US funds. That will definitely shrink that $1 million down. So we highly recommend you do not travel with only the $1 million Canadian. And that is why we have that 10 million. We do have claims that have exceeded that $1 million. So please make sure you have more than that. Also, that we think about it as well. Like in that first 40 days, yes, you have the public service healthcare plan, but it's also for those people who are traveling more than 40 days. So you've got that 10 million instantly as well. One thing I wanted to mention too, which I didn't mention earlier during our presentation, is that when we say 40 days, I'm not sure if you guys are aware, but we allow you to travel unlimited days within Canada. So one thing that's nice is, let's say, for example, you live in Ontario and you're going to British Columbia. You're going to be visiting some family out there for 2 weeks, and then you're going to be heading down to the US for another, we'll say, a month. Okay? With your public service healthcare plan, as soon as you leave the province of Ontario, your day one has started. So your day one, if it takes you a week to get out to BC and then you're there for 2 weeks, that's 3 weeks into your public service healthcare plan coverage. You're still going over into the US after, right? With us, your day one only starts when you leave Canada. So what that means is that you're traveling across Canada, that took you a week, you had 2 weeks staying with some family in there, and then you were going to the US. So technically, you know what? You're going to only have 1 week public service healthcare plan, and the rest will be on us. So it's very, that is why we have that medical coverage for you, because we really don't feel that what you have currently is enough to make sure that you're going to be covered.
Okay. So if you need to visit an emergency department while away, do you need to get approval for costs first? There can be some simple medical issues that need treatment due to a minor accident.
So I would typically say yes. If you can call in advance, whether it be you're calling us or whether or not you're calling public service healthcare plan, it's always good to give in a call in advance to ensure that perhaps is this going to be covered. There are some exclusions with all policies. So before you go and start agreeing to pay to things, perhaps it's a good idea to make sure you give us a call when you can. If you are having a heart attack or something like that, don't worry about it. Please get to the nearest hospital, and I'll guarantee to you that they will go through your wallet and they will find something to call to make sure that they'll have some medical coverage being paid for you. But I do recommend, if you can call in advance, give us a call, or the Public Service Healthcare Plan Canada Life a call.
Thank you. Does MEDOC over province to province cover, probably province to province medical that whole HIP does not cover?
Yes. So your OHIP, number one, is only going to cover $200 and $400 if you're in the ICU. So very, very minimal coverage that we've got in terms from what we receive from the government in terms from our public service, our provincial health care. So that gets coordinated with that first payer. So if that would be Canada Life, because it's within that first 40 days and the claim is under 600,000, then at that point, the 600,000 Canadian will say, then at that point they would be that first payers and coordinate that with the province.
Thank you. Does MEDOC pay upfront or do I submit receipts?
We typically pay upfront, as I'd mentioned, because we have direct billing. Much easier that way for us as well. If we can direct pay, you don't need to worry about it. But as I mentioned, Cuba is one place that specifically you've got to pay upfront.
Can you please clarify the coverage for longer trips past 40 days?
Yes. So for anybody traveling more than 40 days, there's a couple things that do apply. You need to fill in a health questionnaire. And that health questionnaire is just going to determine what health category you fall into. We have 3 categories. Going forward, these categories will be called A, B, and C. Now, when you fill in that health questionnaire, if you fall into category A or B, no problem. If you fall into category C, you will have that 90-day stability clause. So again, the stability clause is only for people traveling more than 40 days and who land in that health category of category C. You'll be subject to a 90-day exclusion.
If we have an issue while traveling, we first contact Canada Life while traveling, correct? And we contact MEDOC only after the trip, once we see the part of the cost that is not covered by Canada Life.
If you have the opportunity to contact Canada Life and us at the same time, you can open both claims at the same time. There is no reason why we can't have the claims open at the same time. So feel free to open both of them up, because what happens with that we do find is that you might have a medical emergency where it might be covered under the public service healthcare plan. But let's say you have to be flown back to your province for surgery. So again, we're going to be picking up those other things like the unused hotel, the returning of your luggage, all those types of things that you would have prepaid for before as well, like that, that prepaid excursions or things like that.
Okay. Many of the trips that we do. Oh, sorry. Oh, did I lose it? I think something happened. I'm sorry.
It's all good.
All the questions, I don't know why. I did click something. There was a hands up with Sandy McPherson, but I wanted to do something, and I think it hid all my questions. Sorry, can you pick it up, Lynn?
Sure, let me see.
Oh,
Hi, it's Linda.
yes.
Go down to the Q&A box. Do you see a bubble there with a number?
2, and it was 80 something. Now I've only got 2.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I've got all of them. If Lynn, if you need help, I'm just not
Yes,
sure.
could you take over? Because for some reason, all the questions have disappeared for me. I'm at 3 questions. I don't know what happened. Sorry about that.
Which was the last one you were dealing
Oh,
with?
I don't remember, but maybe we answered 5 or 6. Lynn would be able to know better where we're at. Do you see them, Lynn?
No, I don't actually.
Oh,
I wasn't.
Okay, so Linda.
So you answered the first 5, so I'm going to start. Did you talk
Something like
about the digital wallet version of the MEDOC travel card?
Sure.
No, not yet. So
Oh.
that is a great feature, actually. And one of the members actually had posed that to me a little while ago. And that is something that we have put forth. So one thing that I mentioned is that every year we do that survey and sort of survey the market to make sure we're giving you a product that, number one, is top of mind. That's great on the market. That's very competitive. But also at the same time, we want to make sure we're giving you those extra coverages. So that will be embedded in there. Yes.
Okay, sorry, just a second. Okay, I'm going up a little higher because I think I started a little too low. Did you have the one about if we have an issue while traveling, we first contact Canada Life? You had that one?
Yes, that was the one that we actually had. That was our last one, I believe.
Oh, good. Okay. Just a second here. Yeah, they kind of bump around, I notice. Oh dear. All right. Well, I'll try not to do what happened to you, Lynn.
Mhm.
Okay, the next one, many of the trips that we do require emergency evacuation coverage. Does MEDOC coverage include this?
Absolutely. So one thing that our policy does, it includes medical evacuation and non-medical evacuation. So medical evacuation, obviously, something has happened and you need to be airlifted, to a hospital. That's going to be covered, but also non-medical. So let's give you an example. You're perhaps on a cruise and a tsunami's coming, right? And they need to get you off of that cruise because it's very dangerous. We have non-medical evacuation coverage because medical means it has already happened, right? We want to prevent it, so we have both non-medical and medical. So we've got you covered there for sure.
Great. It says, am I correct to assume MEDOC coverage stops when we leave the country?
No. Your MEDOC coverage is for in province. I'm going to talk about that in a sec. For trip cancellation, that's a new feature actually. It's going to cover medical out of province because obviously medical in province is just covered by your provincial healthcare plan. But as soon as you step outside of your province, you're automatically going to be in a different medical requirement. As I mentioned, it's only 200 for that, and then 400 for ICUs when you're traveling abroad. So it's going to cover you for your medical as soon as you're out of province and as well out of Canada. So anywhere in the world that you're going to be traveling, you're going to have this emergency medical coverage there for you.
All right. The next one is an individual case about a biking trip and insurance that didn't seem to cover it. So they should get directly in touch with MEDOC, I guess, right?
Please do, yes.
Yeah, apparently it's been taking a while, but you would recommend that, can they get in touch with you directly, Lynn, or how do they?
If they go through our agents and then just say that they were in a call today, with
Perfect.
us, we can get that flagged. Yeah.
Excellent. Okay, will do. When I'm buying MEDOC, um, if needed upon a medical event, the coverage starts at day 41 after the end period of day 1 to day 40 with the public service healthcare plan. Is that correct?
Not necessarily, because as I mentioned, it's overlapping coverage. So you have got your public service healthcare plan of 1 million, okay, and then you have our plan, which brings you to 10 million. So this is all going to be in your first 40 days. You're going to have coverage. You've got 1 million with the public service, 10 million with us. After day 41, we're on the hook from $1. So we insure you from $0 to 10 million after day 41.
Okay. Is cancellation for any reason included in the trip cancellation policy for MEDOC?
No, we do not have cancel for any reason. We do have a very robust cancellation allowance. So we actually allow 37 reasons why you cannot cancel, or 37 reasons why you can cancel your trip. So very open. So it could be, for example, there was a disaster at your house and you're not able to go because obviously you've got to maintain your home and get a roof put on your house and whatnot. So you got to cancel your trip. Or there could be at destination there was something that happened that prevents you from going there now. It could be that you were called for jury duty, or that you got sick, or a family member passes away, or your traveling companions family member passes away. So we have a lot of allowances to allow you to cancel that trip, but not just for a cancel for any reason, like I don't feel like going today. No, we don't have that type of a coverage.
Alrighty. If I buy a non-refundable, non-changeable trip, the cancellation would normally result in a total loss. Does MEDOC insurance cover this if you buy a non-refundable, non-changeable?
Yes. So as you're going through right now, basically, when you've got Air Canada, you've got, different flight options that you can choose. You can certainly go with the basic one. There's no reason for that, or no reason to go to a higher level, because you do have your trip cancellation coverage there. So as long as it's falling into one of the categories that we've got, which is, as I mentioned, quite a lot of categories, you'll be fine. Just you don't need to purchase the travel or the flight insurance that allows you to cancel and that. So yes.
Excellent. Okay. What's the period of time we have to file a claim after we've canceled our trip?
We would recommend that you give us a call as soon as medically possible. Okay. Obviously, because this way here, things will be top of mind. We'll be able to get things actioned sooner. So we do ask you to let us know as soon as you possibly can.
Excellent. Are there age thresholds when the insurance premiums increase, like 70 or 80?
Okay, so yes, so one thing that does happen on your renewal when you get them, obviously we've got age bands that we have you in. If you go up an age band, you'll obviously, unfortunately, that will charge you more on your renewal. We have age bands 81 plus, so there's no age restriction. You could be 100 years old, and if you want to travel, by all means, we've got travel insurance that we can offer you.
The trip cancellation interruption is covered up to 15K. If a trip is
Mhm.
20K, can we purchase an additional 5K of insurance through MEDOC Bel Air?
Unfortunately not. We did an assessment. We sort of took a look at the claims coming in to see if we need to bump up that amount. And based on the average claim coming in, we felt that 15,000 was more than sufficient for the majority of all members, based on what the claims experience we're having coming in. So unfortunately not. Our policy does have that max at 15,000 per person per trip.
Okay. Um, this is one about how does the lost baggage claim work? Does the airline cover some amount?
Your airline, yes. They might offer you some coverage. What happens with us, we've got a couple different coverages. So, number one, if it's been 12 hours and your luggage has not arrived, you are able to put in a claim because you want to make sure that you're able to buy, some incidentals. You want to make sure you want to buy a toothbrush. Perhaps you need some pajamas to wear or something like that. So, definitely, we've got two coverages. Number one is baggage delay, right? So, you've got some coverage for that. after 12 hours of your baggage not arriving. And then as well, if your baggage is completely lost, we've got that 15,000 coverage, or a total for the family of maximum of 3,000.
Trip cancellation, must it be medically related? I think you've already answered that.
Exactly. It doesn't necessarily need to be medically related. It could be you've got jury duty, or, a disaster at the location or something like that. So there are non-medical reasons for trip cancellation as well.
I'm not sure about this question. Stability clause.
Okay.
Does that exclude coverage only for the specific condition and does not nullify coverage for other incidents?
Absolutely correct. So let's say, for example, you've got a pre-existing condition, it's relating to your heart, and they changed your medication before you left, and therefore you're not meeting that stability clause. Now, remember, the only people who get the stability clause are those who are traveling more than 40 days and those who fell into that health category, which we would have called standard, and now we're going to be calling C. Okay, so if you fall into that category, then at that point there, the 90-day stability clause will apply.
If I phone from my cruise ship, will the phone call, if it's expensive, be covered?
You can call collect, yes.
You can call collect. Great. How does the airport lounge pass work? There may be times when I don't know how long the flight will be delayed, and possibly not until the 3rd hour.
True. So you do need to wait until the 3rd hour, because it's specific that coverage only applies when it's been delayed for more than 3 hours from your original flight. So let's say, for example, you're supposed to be traveling at noon. You get to the airport at 10 a.m. You're waiting, and then they say, okay, it's going to be delayed. It has to be over 3 hours for you to be able to submit that. So if it's only hour 1 and you go, and within, so I would recommend please wait the 3 hours, then go to the lounge, and then you'll be able to submit for that $100.
All righty. The 90-day stability clause, 90 days before booking a trip or a year in advance?
Okay, so 90 days before booking a trip. So that's in relation to your trip cancellation, okay? So in other words, 90 days before you book a trip, have you been stable? You know what I mean? Because let's say, for example, if you're not stable, you shouldn't be thinking of traveling. Like how I'm going to preface that is that there are times you should not be traveling, and that whether you're on the base plan or whether or not you're on the supplemental plan. If you are traveling, number one, against doctor's orders, whether you're insured with us, whether you're trying to claim through the public service healthcare plan, if you are traveling against your doctor's orders, there will be no coverage. If you are awaiting tests, you're waiting to see a specialist, and you decide to travel before you see that specialist, there's not going to be coverage. So if you are going to the doctors and you say, you know what, I've got pain in my chest and I'm having a difficult time, and then they say, okay, we're going to order these tests and we're going to send you to see a specialist, please do not book a trip. Okay, because if you were to go on that trip before you've seen the specialist and get your diagnosis figured out, you will not have coverage, because you should have waited to find out what the doctor said before you decided to take a trip. So please ensure that if you are going to be traveling, you've got your doctor's okay. And the fact that you're not awaiting any outcome of tests or seeing a specialist or things like that, because that specific ailment will not be covered. Other ailments, no problem, but that specific ailment would not be covered.
Okay, if I go somewhere where Foreign Affairs has issued an advisory, does that impact me?
So I'm going to give you 2 scenarios. You can go to a place where, I'll give you an example of, typically we used to have Okalpogo. We had some restrictions in that area that was on the restricted list. Now, if you want to, and before we wouldn't allow you to go. If you went, that was at your own peril. Now we allow you to go. However, the reason for the travel advisory, so say, for example, it was war. Okay. If you went there and you had a heart attack, no problem. If you went there and you got shot, no coverage. So if it's for the reason why the travel advisory was issued and that was the injury, you don't have coverage. Other than that, you will have coverage against other things except for the travel advisory issue for, like I said, gun violence. If you get shot, you're not going to be covered.
Claims, you submit them to MSH International?
So there is where we have the two. So as we have a coordination of benefits, you've got multiple players in this scenario. So for those of you who are basically, obviously MSH is only in that first 40 days, right? Because that's your plan that you have with public service. So with them, if you have that claim in the first 40 days, definitely give Canada Life a call. They will put you into touch with MSH. MSH is the claims adjuster for the public service healthcare plan that is being administered there by Canada Life, and they will be able to look after that. But if you also think you might have perhaps instances where you're going to be able to need to claim from the MEDOC side, also feel free to call us and open up a claim on our side as well, so we can make sure we've got all the coordination of benefits going through.
Okay, it's 2:33. Can we stay a little longer? There's an awful lot of questions.
I can.
Okay, well, there's 142.
Whoa. Okay.
Yeah,
Wow.
so we'll just let's go till like 2:45 and
Sure.
that'll do
Yes,
it?
I would
Okay.
say we'll have to stop at some point because, of course, it generates a lot of questions, and I understand everybody, but
Yeah.
I mean, they can call and get the information for themselves because
Okay.
already we've been very generous. So thank you. You're welcome to stay on for a bit, but yes, we'll put a cutoff time. Thank you, Linda.
Okay, no problem. Does making claims have any impact on your annual fee?
Not at all. Not at all. This is not something where, oh, you've had a claim, we're going to penalize you the next year. No, no bearing at all.
The vehicle return, is it just out of country or out of province?
It is out of province as well.
Hey.
Yep.
What clause would cover emergency airfare return to home country if we cannot return under the booked flights?
Can you say that again? Sorry.
What clause would cover emergency air return to your home country if you cannot return using the flights you booked?
What coverage? Well, I guess it would be like if you're,
Clause. Yeah.
what clause? But
If you're not using the flights you booked, are you covered to use other airfare return if you can't use the flights you booked and you have to go home in a hurry?
if there's like a medical disaster or, you know what I mean, something's happened at home. Okay. Like that does happen, right? You're going to be out traveling and let's say a family member passes away, right? That happens when you're traveling. We will actually return you to your province so you can actually attend that funeral. And if you want, we can actually return you back to destination too. So we do have coverage available for you for those kinds of things. But again, it can't be just like, oh, I feel like going back early. I'm tired. It needs to be something that is a covered reason under the policy. But as I mentioned, we have lots of covered reasons under the policy for trip cancellation.
Now, I think we've covered this. If you're on a 50-day trip, you're covered for the first 40 days. And then the last 10 days, who's covering the person?
So we cover right from day one. As I mentioned, we have that 10 million for you from day one. But day 41, we pay from $1 to 10 million. Prior to day 40, we cover from we'll say 101 million. $1 over a million will cover up to 10 million.
Okay. Do you need proof of departure from a province when you're traveling in Canada?
Nope, because within Canada, we have unlimited travel within Canada. And that's one thing that's nice too, is that our trip cancellation is also in province. For those of you who may not know, if you you're living in Ontario, you make a trip to Toronto, you've prepaid everything, some reason you can't go, you actually have trip interruption, trip cancellation coverage now in province as well.
Excellent. People keep adding questions, which makes me lose my place.
Sorry.
So if you cannot.
Linda,
Yes.
Linda, I'd like to add a message maybe to everyone because I see some people are leaving and questions are being added. We recommend if you'd like to have a session within your branch, because I see there are lots of people from Ottawa, so perhaps that Lynn can do another session in your branch for your branch, Linda. And
Thank you.
it applies to other, she has offered to do more if
She's
if
offered to do
needed.
more. That's great.
So you may
Absolutely.
So a
request.
few more questions.
Yes.
As a PSHCP member, who should you call first in a medical or travel emergency? MEDOC, I guess, or the government plan, or who do you call first?
You can call either or. I'm going to tell you, if you call us, what we do is that we assess the situation. If it is an MSH claim or a public service healthcare plan claim, we actually transfer you over. So you can either call public service healthcare plan directly, or you can contact us and we will transfer you. So this way we might be able, if you call us first, we can open the claim. And then if there's anything that is above and beyond that public service healthcare plan coverage, we've already got that claim open for you. And then we triage you and we'll bring you over to the public service healthcare plan.
If taken ill overseas, a stroke or something, let's say, will the insurance cover the cost of a medical professional like a nurse to travel to the location where the person took ill and then for the nurse to return to Canada with the patient?
Depending if that is medically required, I will say yes. I'll give you an example of one claim that was very interesting. We had a member who actually was taking a cruise. He had, I think it was a brain aneurysm, and he had to be going to the hospital. He was not able to fly back. What we did, we put him back on the cruise. The cruise actually brought him back to the US side, where then we had a car pick him up and drive him home. So these are the benefits that you have available under the travel insurance.
Okay, I'm going to try and pick up the ones that have more thumbs up in the last few minutes, but they look like they're all sort of one thumb up each. Oh dear. Does the 90-day stability apply for trips shorter than 40 days prior to a trip longer than 40 days? Oh, don't know about that one.
No.
Okay.
So basically, they're going on a 60-day trip. And in that first 40 days, they're wondering, you know what, do I have a stability clause? No, you do not.
Okay. If you become ill on vacation and you contacted Johnson and then spoke to MSH and were directed to a hospital for an assessment, but hospitalization was not required, and you still don't feel well enough to continue your vacation, do you need prior approval prior to flying home?
That one, I would definitely make sure that you call our claims department and get that, because there's obviously more medical information that would be required at that point for that assessment.
Okay. What happens if your scheduled trip is within the 40 days and you exceed the 40 days due to illness or flight delays?
So we have an automatic extension of coverage. So it could be whether or not it was perhaps an injury. You know, you're in the hospital and it's past day 43, or it's sort of past day 40, you're on day 43 now. We have an automatic extension that will allow you a certain amount of time to get you back home.
Okay. If the trip is overseas and over 40 days and I am ill and require medication, are the drugs covered by MEDOC or Canada Life?
If you are over the 40 days, okay, and you're talking about drugs and things like that. Now, if this is from a medical emergency, this is going to be us for sure.
If your spouse is a member of the plan and unfortunately passes away,
Mhm.
is the survivor still qualifying for coverage?
So that would depend on whether or not you are eligible to have the public service healthcare plan. If you're a surviving spouse and have the public service healthcare plan, you are able to maintain your membership with the association because you must have an association membership to have our travel insurance, and you can continue the travel insurance. Yes.
All right. Do MSH International and Global Excel Management communicate with each other when a claim is made?
Mm. It was much easier, I will say, a year ago when it was underneath Sun Life. We had a direct line to them, actually. I will say that we are making much improvement in terms of having a regular communication schedule with MSH. And I will say that now that we do have some key contacts at MSH, so should a claim not be going and it has been denied by MSH where we feel that it should be covered, we will actually triage that to an MSH representative that we have.
Is there a waiting period to receive health care after you arrive at your destination?
Typically not, because actually when you're at destination, they are very quick to have you in because for them it's money coming in. Where we do find is that if you are at destination and you have an emergency, sometimes we're having a hard time getting you back because we don't have any beds available. So that's more what we're seeing.
Do I understand that I can be outside my home province of Ontario for 212 days without needing supplemental benefits?
Well, you're able to be out of your province for up to 212 if you live in the province of Ontario. So that means if you're out of the province, we'll say, and you decide to leave Ontario for 365 days, you could actually lose your your government funding for your health coverage because you need to be in the province for that specific amount of time. So in Ontario, you can leave for up to 212 days. You can still maintain your provincial healthcare coverage. In Quebec, it's that 182 days. You must be in your province 183, and you can be out 182 for Quebec.
Do you recommend a traveler bring a copy of their policy with them?
I don't think it's a bad idea. You can actually even get our online version of our travel policy and have it there. So that way there you can just open it up on your phone if need be.
What was I going to say? The presentation, is it going to be available, the slides, or just the recording of this presentation?
Everything will.
Everything.
We'll be sending an email to all the registrants with the presentation recording and everything. May I say that we stop here?
Alrighty.
And
I could go on and on.
Yes.
Now there's 151 questions.
Unbelievable.
We got great engagement.
Yes, and there's so many different scenarios. Lynn, I was thinking, I just went on your website in the meantime to see if there was a lot of question and answers there. So there doesn't seem to be that many unless I was not in the right location, but perhaps you could we'll share all the questions we've had with you, and perhaps that can help to build also the FAQ on the website for our members.
Exactly. Like we're always about improving the plan, making things easier for you. So when we get suggestions from your members or from yourselves, we might not be able to implement it right away, but there's always going forward. We can certainly put it in the planner.
Progress. Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
So, okay. So I want to thank you, Lynn, so much for your generosity, for your presentation, and for your willingness to collaborate with us and have more sessions as well in the future. So as I mentioned, you may request your branch to have a session with Lynn, and Nadia was there for the French version as well earlier this morning. And I thank you all for participating. The Outaouais branch thanks you for participating, and sorry about the little change at the last minute. It was a challenge for us as we didn't know we were limited in number of participants. So thank you so much. Have a great summer.